Okay, I've seen this question flying about the internet a couple of times, and I just thought I'd throw my 2 cents into it. Now, you guys know I'm a massive fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise. I mean, you can tell that I'm raw epping the merch here. But the question I'm asked sometimes, and I've also seen floating about the internet, is if you're a new player to Assassin's Creed, where do you start? Now, that's a simple question with a series of rather complicated answers depending on what kind of gamer you are. And the way I see it, there's a few options you can start with, and I'm here to walk you through each and every one of those options. And to start off with, we've got the option I go for all the time, and that is just start plainly with the original Assassin's Creed. It's the one that started the entire franchise. Yes, it's a bit dated, and yes, it is repetitive, and hasn't aged that well. But this is where the franchise got its start. If it wasn't for this game's success, we wouldn't have had any of the games that came after. And as I said, this is the one that I would always suggest that you do first if you really want to just start from the beginning and work your way. This is what I call the release order solution. But if you don't feel like getting the first one, I could also recommend, at the very least, go starting with Assassin's Creed 2. It starts off the Ezio trilogy, which is the most successful. It's the story of the most successful character in the franchise. This guy here, Ezio, gets 3 games: Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Revelations. That's all one connected story, and you can see basically Ezio's entire life. It's a good way to start. Also, main man of the franchise, you want to see you want to sell something Assassin's Creed, you slap this guy's face on it, and it's guaranteed to sell because the Assassin's Creed fans, like myself, will eat it up. And if you do take this route and you skip Assassin's Creed 1, this game does give you a little bit of a recap on what happened. It's very brief, but it gives you enough, gets you started, so you know what's going on in the modern day. Of course, if you want to skip what I call the Desmond saga, and that is Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, and 3, that's all one connected story. If you want to start a little bit fresh, there's 2 options I can give you. And the first one is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Yes, it does follow an ancestor of Desmond Miles, but it doesn't actually revolve around him. You do see Desmond's, the aftermath of Desmond's story, and a short little video clip, but that wraps up very quickly. Mostly it's just a pirate game, and it is one of the better Assassin's Creed games, which even I can't deny. And if you're not wanting to have a game with any connection to Desmond Miles at all, fair play. There is an option for that on the last gen, couple of gen ago systems, and obviously nowadays. And that's my personal favourite, Assassin's Creed Rogue. As the title would suggest, you're not an assassin in this one, you're a Templar. They're the main villains of the franchise, and you get to play from their side of the conflict, and you get to see what their ideology and all that's all about. And kind of tying into my next one on the list, the final mission of this game, spoiler alert, ties into, and that takes us into the start of Unity, which came out on the PS4 and Xbox One, which is technically the last gen systems for us now, because we're obviously on the Xbox Series X and S and the PS5. But yeah, this started to take the games in a different direction. Yes, it was still the similar kind of engine and all that we were working with, but they just updated the system, they updated it, made the worlds bigger, and also with this game in particular, it started to implement what would become the RPG norm for the games going on. And speaking of which, when it comes to starting with the RPG Assassin's Creed, I have a couple of options for you. First of all, we have Assassin's Creed Origins. This was the first fully RPG Assassin's Creed. This is the one that tells the origin of the Assassin-Templar conflict. I would highly recommend this one as an entry point to both. You get it as an Assassin's Creed origin story, and you get it as an RPG. It's kind of light on the RPG elements, so it's not as bad as my next option, but I would recommend this one because this is where the entire conflict starts. The next one's a bit, next one doesn't really fit, but that option is, strangely enough for me, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, I'm one of the people who don't like this game personally, but I do respect it for one thing. If you want to start the games in a chronological order, you start with this game, then you go to Origins, then you go to Mirage, and then Valhalla. And then it's Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, 3. Nope. No, it wasn't. Brotherhood, Revelations, 4, Rogue, and then 3. And then Unity, then Syndicate, and you'll be caught up to the modern day. This is only the mainline games I'm talking about here. It's an odd way to do it because there'll be stuff that happens in the modern day sections of the games which you can't avoid, which you won't know really if you just stick with. If you start with this game, there'll be a lot going on that in the modern day that you don't get. But honestly, who plays Assassin's Creed for the modern day other than the Desmond series? I'll be honest. So yeah, that's like all my main options. You've got like down here. But honestly, like any game here you could start with, and really you wouldn't need to know anything because each game is kind of interconnected. Like it's only confined within its own area. There's only a couple of exceptions to that rule because yes, they do reference stuff in the other games, but as I've said, it's a game that's spread across history, so you can really just pick up one, and if it's your vibe, start whatever the fuck you like. I mean, hell, if you want a game with admittedly one of the most gorgeous worlds I've ever seen in an Assassin's Creed game, why don't you play Assassin's Creed Shadows? It may be the most recent, and yes, there was a fair bit of controversy around its release, but honestly, I don't see it. I don't get the issue with this, and I'm not trying to stir up hatred here. I just genuinely love this game, and I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. If you want a gorgeous world to explore, go and kick it in Japan for a bit. Believe me, you won't regret it. Sorry, you might, but that it's definitely one of the weaker stories. But if it's a good world you're wanting, Shadows. Or instead of looking at a beautiful world, why not smash it up in Assassin's Creed Valhalla? It's kind of an origin story for the Templars in the long run if you do all the Order of the Ancient stuff. But other than that, really doesn't have anything to do with Assassin's Creed. But it's good for if you want to do away with the sneaking and the stabbing, and you just want to fuck shit up. But yeah, at the end of the day, guys, I can't be an authority on like what game you should start with. If one of these games looks good to you, go for it. Like there's a good and bad in every Assassin's Creed game, and any one of them can really be the one that sells you. For example, I started with Brotherhood. Well, not technically. I got into the series when Brotherhood was the latest one, and that used to be my favorite. And like, I've changed my favorite about 6 times until fucking Rogues came along. But yeah, literally any one of these games could be your favorite Assassin's Creed, and that could be the one that gets you to pull the trigger and maybe even play some of the older ones. It doesn't matter. If you like it and it vibes with you, go for it. Have at it. That is really all the advice I can say. I've given you some options. Those are like ones I would say would be good for a starting point, but it's up to you. So if you enjoyed this one, guys, like it and follow for more, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. So until then, peace.